Guys, welcome back to the Real Talk with Michelle podcast. This is episode number 77, Real Talk with Dr. Maurice Abney of Safe Haven Health. Welcome to the show, Maurice.
Thank you. Thank you. Greatly appreciate it.
Yes. So I wanted to just give you a second to just talk a little bit about yourself so the listeners know who you are.
I am Dr. Maurice Abney. I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner here in the Brentwood, Tennessee area. I've been in healthcare for more than 30 years now, and I've been working in mental health for approximately 15 to 16 years. I look forward to getting to talk with you, Michelle, and share a little bit more about myself, but I am also a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity and Incorporated, and I am also a proud parent of an adult daughter.
All right. How old is your daughter?
She's 26 years old.
All right. Yes, she's an adult now.
Absolutely, but she's still my baby.
Of course, always. The daughters never leave. Gotta talk to dad. Talk about a little bit of what made you go into your line of work.
Well, actually, it was, I often say it was by mistake, but not by mistake. Actually, I got into healthcare by way of the U.S. Navy. So I am a Navy veteran, and I joined the Navy with hopes of what I thought would be an aviation career. And so I joined with a promise from our fine U.S. Navy to become a air traffic controller.
Okay.
So I was on the track, the air traffic controller, and right after basic training, I was told that the school was booked and that I could wait in basic training for an additional 6 weeks, or I could move forward and choose another job. So At that point, I asked what was available. They told me, and I said, well, hey, why not hospital corpsman? Because I knew at the time I could get my licensed vocational nursing certificate or diploma at that time and start working in that capacity at some point. So that was the beginning. I worked in the U.S. Navy for many years as a corpsman, and through my education and training in the Navy, coupled with my bachelor's, I was able to segue myself into nursing. Became a registered nurse, and then a clinical nurse specialist, which is an advanced practice nurse, and later working as a mental health nurse practitioner.
Yes, and I did. That was my next question too. What exactly is the role of a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner?
The role is, very robust. I must say that it all depends on where you reside. In some states, we have 100% autonomy, whereby we are able to practice mental health and behavioral health without a collaborating physician. In the state of Tennessee, all advanced practice nurses, such as nurse practitioners, they must have a collaborating physician on board with their practice if you are independent. So in terms of what we do, I personally take care of any patient that is going through any type of change in life event, depression, any kind of anxiety, some bipolar disorder, and also schizophrenia. So I do a little bit of a combination, but as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, I am able to provide psychotherapy, or therapy as many people would call it, as well as medication management. So many people have an established relationship with a therapist or a social worker that's caring for them and providing them with the counseling. As the psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, in that role, I would actually provide medication management for that patient. So they would see them for the therapy. The patient would then come with me and see me, and I will provide the medication regimen for that patient. In other cases, I am seen to provide the therapy as well as the medication management. It all depends on the way of engaging the relationship, but in either way, it's all about ultimately improving the life of the person, the patient, or the client, I would say.
Yes. Okay. That was a good breakdown. Now I understand how that works. You are a founding member and provider at Safe Haven Health. Talk a little bit about Safe Haven.
So Safe Haven is a psychiatric or behavioral health clinic
Okay.
serving not only just the Nashville area or Middle Tennessee, but all of the state of Tennessee, as well as a few other states. I'm licensed in other states, so I do a lot of virtual visits in other states.
Okay.
But I do like to think of Safe Haven. My brother and I actually co-own it, and he too is a mental health nurse practitioner.
Okay.
But in terms of safe haven, it is a safe haven. I think all too often we as, especially I being an African-American male,
Mhm.
mental health is taboo. Or, growing up in a hyper-religious home, I was told
Mhm.
that I should talk about everything. And
Mhm.
I should not talk about everything, but I should pray about everything. And I was taught to be stoic, to
Mhm.
be emotionalist in many cases. And I can tell you that unfortunately, that's probably the only thing that my sweet grandmother taught me that I possibly would disagree with today.
Okay.
Because of those lessons, life lessons, I've learned that it's perfectly okay to have an environment where you could exchange how you're feeling, whether positive or negatively,
Right.
and gain insight from a subject matter expert, or as it pertains to best practices
Mhm.
based on what it is that I'm going through.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I tell even my clients that even when you're processing, because you do need a support system, but you
Mhm.
definitely have to be able to trust your secrets with the person that you're processing with. So
Yes.
what I am able to do is, in my practice, I'm able to provide that safe haven for those that choose to come get care with us. I'm able to listen to them and
Mhm.
provide insight. Sometimes it's just to allow the person to be heard.
Mhm.
And when they ask for my professional advice, then I will offer it. But also to help remove the stigma associated with mental health, especially in the Black community, because it's such a deficit in our community.
I agree. And I feel like our conversation is just flowing. So I have to tell you, because you're getting to where I always want to go with my questions. So
Mhm.
um, I wanted to talk specifically about men and mental health, specifically Black men too. Are you starting to see men come forward and ask for help with their mental health more?
I am starting to see young men. I mean,
Mhm.
young men, and unfortunately, and I don't mind sharing my age. I'll be 50 in August.
Congrats.
And thank you. Hey,
It's a blessing.
given the nature of our environment, I'm ecstatic
Yeah, it's a
to reach this
blessing.
milestone. But definitely, I say that to say that I think that I'm seeing a lot of young men. I'm seeing new onset schizophrenia, severe depression and anxiety,
Mhm.
and most of the men, in fact, all of I would say 90% of the Black men that I see
Mhm.
had fathers in their life, if not in the home. But
Okay.
they too were taught that it was not okay, that they were being weak, and that they should man up and they should cowboy up
Yeah.
instead in terms of dealing with their emotions. And
Mhm.
so I have seen an influx of the offspring of my generation,
Okay.
and either people older than me. But in terms of my generation, I don't think we've made a whole lot of progress yet.
Mhm.
I will see my generation in terms of dealing with the drug and alcohol side of mental health,
Okay.
in terms of just therapy and identifying, that I may have some concerns and I need to get some help. Not as many as I'd like, but I'm seeing a lot of everyone else from every other ethnicity.
Okay. So you're saying with Black men, if it's like a problem they can pinpoint, like you said, with drug abuse or alcohol abuse or something like that, that's more acceptable to seek help for than just like the back end of why you might be drinking or
Well, I
might.
don't think that is it, that they are that Black men are more often going to assist help. I think by circumstance, they find themselves in a place where they have to get help,
Okay.
whether it be court ordered or they're in the hospital or they've hit rock bottom or they've been given an ultimatum by their partner. You know, you either get help or else. There are some volunteer type admissions or people that you would see, but that's far less than the ones that are being forced to be treated at around my age group. But the young generation, I must say, I always have said that the younger generation is going to demand change in so many ways.
In so many ways. I'm very proud of them for
Yeah.
They have boundaries with work and just like if I need to be off because my brain doesn't feel well, like they expect their companies that they work for to say, take a mental health day. Like there's hours allotted in their time off and stuff for specifically mental health days.
It's necessary.
It is. Sometimes you just need to like not have to go to work or not have to make a decision. Sometimes you need to stay home and focus on yourself or go, talk to your therapist or, seek help that day. But I feel the same way. I'm very proud of them. They're very kind of out there with their emotions in every way. I mean,
absolutely ambitious. They're very ambitious in so many ways. I mean, they're going to push the envelope and rightfully so, especially when it comes to your health. There's no greater health. No part your mental health is no greater than your physical health, and vice versa. If you have to take care of yourself, you need to take care of both.
The whole package.
Absolutely.
I love it. I agree. Let's see. With your men clients, which you might have already answered this a little bit in part, what issues are they usually seeking help for? And kind of in the past few years with Corona, have you noticed changes in what men are seeking help for?
Absolutely. I think that I commend the men, by the way, that are seeking help, only because I think that it's so taboo for men. And it's perfectly okay to get help. We get for everything else. If we have too many bags in our hand, we're going to ask somebody for help. If we are falling short in some area, we ask people for help. It's definitely okay from a mental health standpoint. But in terms of COVID and the impact on mental health, what I can tell you is that I've seen people, the fear become more outwardly pronounced, whereby you would see people that, I'm macho, I'm the man, recognize that, you know what, I'm starting to feel a little out of sorts and I possibly need to get some help. Or what happens too is that during this time that so many couples have been together, they really recognize who they're married to, and their likes or dislikes for the person that who's worked all the time, was away from the home.
Yes, there was a lot of that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen it. So guys, what I've done is even with couples, I see them as a couple, and then I have them in individual sessions as well, because sometimes you want to process with someone, and there are things that men encounter that will be identified based on societal norms as less manly. We have to confront the issues that we have men that have been molested. We have men that have been abused. We have men with low self-esteem. And a lot of times, given the fact that who they're interacting with or who their partners are, they may not be able to have those conversations.
Right.
But at some point, you realize that this is negatively impacting me and I need to get some help. So during this COVID season, I've seen an increase in men coming to therapy to identify, how do I get through this? Father dislike or father issues, mom issues. I mean, I've had my own issues, and I always like to talk about me because I want to break the stigma that if I can encounter and have gone through therapy and been on medication and I'm still here and I'm healthy, then you too can do the same.
Yes, that's such a great answer. Um, what are some of the signs that men and women can notice if they might be struggling with their mental health? Like, what ways does that present for them?
It could present and in any no way do I want anyone to think that you should have all of these things. But
Right.
there are things that may stick out. One is isolation. If
Hmm.
you notice that your partner or your friend or your family member is isolating, then you just want to check on them. You
Yes.
know, if you notice that they've been distancing themselves, you know, that's another sign that okay, something may be going on. Why are you distancing yourself? Are you okay? A wellness check is always good. Sleeping excessively.
Okay.
A
Mm.
person that's normally you would want to tell, please sit down, have several seats. All of a sudden now they're laying down and won't get up.
Yes.
That's a sign that maybe they're going through something and they don't feel the need to get up or they don't have the energy to get up. Excessive eating or not eating enough.
Okay.
They could eat because they're stressed the heck out, or they can stop eating because they're stressed out.
Yes.
And mood swings. If you see mood swings, this person is, I love you so much. You're the greatest thing since sliced bread. And then, well, why did you do that?
Hmm.
Going from one extreme to the other, there's a great likelihood that they may be experiencing something. Could be just stress. It could be a number of other things. Even if you notice that a person is hyper verbal, they're talking all the time and they're talking a lot.
Right.
We're talking and they won't sleep. They are up day and night.
Hmm.
There's a great likelihood that there's some mania going on, and you definitely want to bring some awareness to it.
Hmm.
But just be extremely careful that there are some people that will be expressing to you that they're okay, and their behavior and they're not okay. And
Right.
so you can't allow your people to go long without checking on them and making sure that and escorting them if you have to get some, because especially our elderly, you look at your elderly, most of their friends and family that they grew up with, that they're the most comfortable with, have passed away.
Hmm.
So they're sad because of that. They're sad because we young folks aren't paying them any attention anymore because our lives are so busy and it's just not about them.
Right.
And they don't want to get on your FaceTime or your Zoom because they don't understand how to do that.
Yes.
So they're not going to send you an email. They're not going to jump on your Zoom. You're not going to visit them in their space.
Not gonna text
So,
you.
yeah, they're not going to text you. So what do? They become extremely depressed, and suicide rate is really high in the elderly as well.
Know that.
So we have to be careful in terms of how we encounter different people, especially at different ages in our families, in our immediate circle,
Hmm.
because everybody is going through something at some point, and you just have to pry a little bit, be respectful. But if you know for a fact that someone is acting out of character
Hmm.
and they're telling you that they're okay, it's not okay for you as a family member or a friend to not escalate that.
I agree with that. I'm very big proponent of my friends they'll tell you, or I'm just like, you sure? Like, are you sure you're okay? Like, I noticed these little things seem off. And I've definitely had some people to be a little more open and just been like, I was kind of sad because I can tell this particular person when they just go dark, like, I don't want to say dark, but just not, we're not conversing like we normally
Mhm.
did, and it's like been a week and I haven't heard from you, and any other time it's all day long we chit chat, and I'm always just like, what's going on, you okay over there? A lot of my friends get a you okay over there, just because I want to check on them because I might have known they had a lot going on. So I'm glad to hear that that's the okay thing, or it's what you should do anyway. um
Absolutely.
what what are good ways to broach that with someone if you did notice the behavior, like the way for them to feel safe sharing it with you at least, or
Well,
go ahead.
yeah, you would definitely have to recognize what your relationship is like with that person.
Mm-hmm.
If it's someone, an associate, then maybe you need to find a friend of that person,
Okay.
because you're identified as an associate, such as a coworker.
Okay.
You may not work with them directly, but you work in the same spaces
Mm-hmm.
with them, and you know that they have a stronger relationship with someone else.
Okay.
You may want to ask them first, if they're okay. And
Mm-hmm.
if they say that they are, but their behavior is a bit bizarre or different, then you want to find someone that possibly has that relationship, but definitely not a person that will keep this secret. Not secret in that it's a secret, mental health is a secret, but no, everybody, given what they're going through in their life, you don't know how they will respond. So
Yes.
you don't want to give it to it. I would say only to probably a manager, because there are rules and regulations within that department that says a manager can only share certain information on a need to know basis
Right.
if you're at work. But if you are a friend of a friend, and you know that you don't have a strong relationship with that person, then find someone that does, and have that dialogue, because ultimately you're trying to make sure that you're able to reach that person and get them what they need. If it's someone, a loved one, I would always tell you to make sure that you have the example before approaching that person, because they're going to say, no, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
No, but if you say, hey, I noticed, and use therapeutic communication and be soft
Mm-hmm.
when you have the conversation. Don't be abrasive. I don't care if you normally have that relationship.
Right.
You don't know what that person is going through. And
Mm-hmm.
they may be going through the most difficult time in their life. And they don't need you being very jovial they need someone that's going to show them some love and kindness. So you definitely want to approach them and say, hey, I noticed that over the last few weeks you've been really distant, and you haven't quite been yourself. And I just want to I care about you, and I want to make sure that you're okay. Is there anything that you need to talk to? And even if you can't talk to me, can I help you find someone to talk to?
Mm. Okay.
Because you're not, maybe they don't want to talk to you. And
Right.
maybe you are a part of the problem.
Mm. Okay.
So don't think that because you're friends doesn't mean that you're not a part of the problem.
Very
Or
true.
because you're a spouse, they could be feeling some type of way. And
Mm-hmm.
it pertains to you. And if you don't have that type of relationship, or if you're that person, that's that perfect person, I always say,
Mm-hmm.
because there are perfect people that don't realize that perception is reality. If many people are telling you that you have a certain characteristic or trait, you may want to check into it. Maybe your intent is not aligned with their perception,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to take a look at yourself and possibly change your delivery, because you could be possibly rude. You could be very disrespectful. You could be self-centered. You could be a number of things that multiple people have told you,
Right.
but because your intent, well, that's not my intent, so that's not me. No, you have to make sure that your intent and the perception of the person that you're talking to is aligned. And
Okay.
if not, then you need to do some soul searching and some modifying. But definitely, when you're talking about people, you want to make sure that you're not a barrier to them getting the help they need.
Mm.
It may be something that you don't even know what you've done to a person, but
Right.
just don't assume that because they're close to you that you did it. The problem that they're experiencing doesn't include you.
Yes, that's very, very good. It's very good advice. I like just lock that because
I
some
like it every day because I learn every day, and you got
good.
to be willing to look at yourself as well.
You definitely do. And I think you said it has to, like your intent and delivery have to align
Mhm.
because like you said, it can't come off to the other person like this perfect person where nothing is that, like to
Mhm.
them anyway, in that way. And your intent really is just to try to ask them if they're okay or if they need something. But to also remember they could be, it could be about you.
It could be. It could be, but be open-minded, because at that
Yeah.
moment, that person. And another thing is that you never. It's just like when you encounter a person that has lupus, or a person that has cancer, or
Mhm.
unless you are closely related to that person, or you have that relationship, you don't know. Oh yeah, that person looks like they have stage 4 cancer, or
Mhm.
that person looks like, yeah, they look like they have lupus. Oh yeah, that looks like muscular dystrophy.
Mhm.
You have no clue, because disability doesn't have a look.
Right.
It could be, you could be extremely healthy and be extremely ill.
Hmm.
On the outside, you can appear to be healthy. So I say that to say that with mental health, you don't know what a person is going through. So you want to be kind,
Yes.
and you want, if especially if you want to provide some type of insight and help.
Yes. All right. I'm locking that in. Locking that in. um, how can we as supporters of mental health care um, help take the stigma out of it so that we can make people more comfortable in asking for help? How do we even start that?
It's just start with yourself.
Okay.
You think about those breakdowns, those panic attacks,
Hmm.
those moments where, I mean, I'm divorced, and there were times that my ex-wife and I would have it out before guests arrived. And we would smile and kiki the whole while the guests are there, and we would, the minute the door shut, we would be back at it.
Hmm.
So take a look at yourself, and if you're willing to be vulnerable with people, and
Hmm.
I always use myself, because I want people to recognize that we are in this thing together.
Yes.
We are all human beings, and we all have life issues. And to remove the stigma, you have to put yourself in a position where you're vulnerable with people about your own mental health.
All right.
And they're like, wow, you mean to tell me, as much as you got it going on, you this is
Um,
absolutely, absolutely. And that's a the beginning. And then I would say also, make it a topic of conversation,
yes.
you know, and talking about what the celebrities are doing, because they have life issues as well.
Yes.
Let's talk about what's going on with those of us that we know. You know, I noticed that you went through a divorce. Divorce is horrible. And I
It's,
always tell my friends, if you can work it out, you may want to try to work it out.
I'm telling you.
But if it can't be worked out, you know, it, it's not an easy process.
Not easy.
I don't care what the other person did or what you did. I mean, you have to own your part in it.
Hmm.
But then, if you don't talk about how difficult it is, or
Right.
it was for you,
Hmm.
then your friends that are going through the same situation that could potentially save their marriage
Yeah,
won't know.
exactly. I definitely, when I was going through my divorce, it was like you said, like a really tough, like just contentious time, just a whole lot going on,
Mhm.
trying to separate and figure out your life. But that's actually when I started this podcast, and the beginning episodes were kind of talking about that, because that was like I was going to therapy, but it was also another type of therapy where I could just say all of this, tell people how I was feeling. I could tell, it would make people uncomfortable sometimes to talk about that, friends, but I'm like, y'all gotta know. And I had like some other people who would come to my salon and stuff that was just like, like you really did help me, like through that, something like that, like whether I was going to get a divorce or not, but just having somebody openly talk about like the emotional part about it, help them kind of get through it, or go to therapy and work it out. Because like you said, I'm like, if you can fix it, try. But if you can't, just know that on the other side, like it does get better, but you got to go through it. You go through a little cathartic time right in
Over
there.
the hills and through the woods.
Okay. Up and down.
Absolutely.
Sunny, and then it's not sunny one day, because you might have, I was with this person for a really long time, so it's
Mhm.
like figuring out a day without this person also in it was it was interesting.
Absolutely.
It's
Like they said, first there were two and now there's one.
right.
Now you have to explain to a million people why there's one. And I always tell people that your life is your story.
Yes.
And if you choose to share it, then so be it. But
Mhm.
you don't owe anyone any explanation at
Anybody.
all. No, you really don't.
Exactly. It's like, I feel like a few people asked, and then everybody else, it was like, listen, I'm not going to keep talking about it.
Mhm.
I've shared enough and what I'm comfortable sharing, but we move forward and the good days are there,
Mhm. They are.
so I try to always remember that because it was definitely a tough time where, you know, I didn't think it would be sunny outside again, but
Oh
here
yeah.
I am. And I'm definitely glad that I had therapy and I had a support system, and people who did call me and say, hey, did you eat today? Like, are you doing the things that kind of keep you happy and moving? Did you go work out? Like, I'm very grateful for those people.
Oh, absolutely.
They asked me the questions that you're saying, like
Oh
they
yeah.
noticed that I wasn't the same or not the same, but that those things in me, like,
Oh
not
yeah.
waking up or staying inside. And I'm like somebody who wants to be everywhere. So I had good people who asked me that. I'm gonna have to
Oh, yeah.
send some messages after this. um, Tell me, okay, you are Maurice Abney, the Renaissance Man on YouTube. But talk about that venture. What led you to do that? I love your video.
Oh, oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, actually it's all about outreach.
Okay.
I I have my personal goal in life is to positively impact the lives of others.
Yes.
There's nothing that makes me more happier than to see people thrive and win at life in any capacity.
Yes.
I always tell people that it's you versus you. Your success is your success. To some people, in a GED is successful because maybe everyone in their family never even got to that point. So
Okay.
we celebrate all wins on my team. I want to see people win at life. So the whole idea with the YouTube channel was I um I wanted to make sure that I had a far outreach.
Mm-hmm.
And as an African American man, yes, I want to make sure that my community is taken care of. But as a lover of people,
Mm-hmm.
a God fearing man, I wanted to make sure that I was able to reach as many people as I could in terms of positively impacting their lives. Because when we die, you can't take the big house with you. You
Right.
can't take the big account, the shoes or the clothing. But so your legacy could be very limited. But
Right.
when you pour into the lives of others, your legacy forego you in years. And I'm creating a legacy, not just for me and my daughter and my family, but for generations to come. And so I felt like the more I'm exposed to different platforms, I'm
Mhm.
able to positively reach other people. And
Yeah.
so that's where the whole YouTube came from. And I have other things that I do, and I do fairly well. So the Renaissance man part was, yeah, I do a lot of things, and I tell people all the time, if you are a dreamer and you're around people that aren't dreamers, then you may need to change some of the people that you're around.
Yes, you do.
Because if you because they don't see the vision.
Mm-hmm. I
I
never
I
will.
they will not, and they're going to continuously beat you down every time you share your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a dreamer, have always been. I do a lot of things that I love, and I want to just positively make a change. That's all.
Yes, we have some similarities there. That's how I feel.
Oh
And I'm
yeah.
just, I'm definitely surrounded by people that's like, do it, try it, I believe it. Like, and it has a really good impact on that. And I want my voice to be out there forever. So
Absolutely.
it's such a good way to do it. I'm going to be here. I'm put these on YouTube. Same deal. I want people to come and meet people like you and and go to your page and see what your page is about and spread positivity and joy and
Yeah,
try to find ways to have it every day.
absolutely.
Yes.
I'm big about it. And I mean, I'm the eldest of 18 kids. And
Wow.
so, yeah, my dad made sure that I was never alone. And so
Clearly.
I wanted to make sure that, with growing up and in an atypical home, because neither one of my parents were there as a child. But
Okay.
I always, I've seen strong women because my aunts and my grandmother were always there, and
Hmm.
they always poured into me how the things that I needed in terms of just positive affirmations
Mm,
and making sure that I knew my value. And
yeah.
so I want to make sure that I play it forward with my books. That's why I write the children's books and
Yes.
adult books that are coming out, just to make sure. I want to make sure that people know that even if no one told you, you are important and you are loved, even if you don't hear it, because sometimes that's all people need to hear, is that they're appreciated,
Yes.
you know.
It's so
And
important.
so that's what I think, let's we're all going to have down days, but let's give people an arsenal of tools that they can use, so that when they're having those down days, if they have no enforcement, they have the tools necessary because they've been shown or taught to make it through that moment.
Exactly. Which I was going to ask you too about the children's books. I did get to see one of them. And talk about that venture just a little bit.
Well, I have um well, the first children's book that I wrote was entitled The Skin You Are In.
Yes.
And it is a book. I mean, and it definitely, in fact, oh, look, I have a copy of it right here.
Look, show us. It's so cute.
But I'm just
You
going to
do the
show a
artwork?
little bit. This is the
Oh,
book right here, The Skin You Are In. And if you notice on this book, I have about 6 ethnicities. I
yeah.
have Caucasian, I have Black, I have Latinx, I have Asian.
Mhm.
Because what I wanted to do was I wanted to empower people to understand that regardless of your race or your political party, your religion, your access to materialistic things, you
Mhm.
have to be extremely confident in the skin that you're in.
Yep.
And children are this is where the change starts. It starts with our kids.
Yes.
And we tell them that in this book, I talk about mental health. I talk about body dysmorphic, where image is everything with kids. I talk about disability, kids with wheelchairs and kids that don't have the activity of all limbs or may not have both eyes. And in addition to that, I talk about the people with the big houses and the ones without. You know, I just want kids to understand the importance of being extremely confident in who you are, regardless to the skin that you're in.
Yes.
And I empower them also to be the absolute best version of themselves. So that came about when we were having so much um, racial tension in our country.
Mhm.
We've always had racial tension, but
It came to
for a
the
minute, yeah, it was at the highest level that I had experienced in my years. And I
Mhm.
just wanted to, again, be a part of the positive change that I'd like to see by way of creating that book. And then I have the second book right here, and it's just it
I
it
am good
said,
enough.
I am good enough.
I
And
like
so
that.
this is my latest release. And I want to empower children. In fact, with both of these books, I've had adults that came to me and said, this book taught me so much about myself.
I am good
You know,
enough. It's something I say still all the
oh,
time.
and
Sometimes
you
I
have,
pick myself up.
and if you don't say it, if you're waiting on someone else to say it, there's great likelihood that you'll be waiting for a while.
Yes.
So yeah, I just want kids to understand. And in that book, it just has what I made sure that I broke down the role barriers and gender barriers. And in that book, I had the female astronauts and the the female welders and electricians and I mean I had men in healthcare, just making sure that we do a pretty good job at destroying our kids' dreams by telling them that you can do this or that. You can't do this or that because of your gender.
Right.
And so I wanted to tear that down because I think that our children are good enough regardless to their gender or their race. They are good enough to be whatever they'd like to be, especially if you pour into them. So I think that kids around the world are good enough. If we start telling our kids that, and we tell our friends that, and tell our parents that, they'll start believing it.
Yes.
Even the adults, if you tell the person that you thought would never get it together, if you start telling them that you're good enough, I believe in you, you're good enough.
Of you.
I'm rooting for you, bet on you, that's where it starts. And that's just the kids book. And then I have a series of 9 books that I'm waiting to be published. They're ready. And it's called the beginner books, Training Wheels beginner books. And that's for younger kids, just making sure that they're ready and they have the tools they need. And then I'm working on some adult books. So I have the adult books. Hopefully the first one is about, it's called So What? And it helps adults identify that, so what? You weren't born with a silver spoon or a gold spoon. So what? You may have been a teenage mother. So what? You were on drugs. It helps people identify, and it gives them anywhere from 70 to 100 different scenarios, life scenarios. But it takes them from a point of despair and being ashamed to a point of contentment, success, and happiness. It gives them steps on how to get from where you are to where you'd like to be. And that is about 80% done. I'd say about 80%. I hope to have it completed by the end of this month and out to everyone in the late summer.
Yes, I love that. I'm currently doing the same thing now, like being like, all right, you were once here, now you are moving to here. And it's a lot of dropping, like you said, dropping shame and guilt and kind of saying go to that. And so you can move forward.
Yeah. Because we all have something to be ashamed of.
Yeah.
It's just, thank God we're not in a position where some of the people are where you've been exposed to the public. So that's why I'm so careful about talking about negatively about things that people have done that's in the forefront, because in the public side, because we have all done some things that we're ashamed of. It's just that the world doesn't know.
Exactly.
So you have to be extremely careful when you're judging other people, so that's just the way I feel about it. That's all.
You're right about that, because I'd be like, I don't know what that person is going through. This is what I try to say. Like, I don't like to get involved. I'm trying to keep the karma real clear around here. So I do not.
I always say I'm working on me. That's all. I got to keep working on me, because I'm not perfect.
Yeah,
I'm working on me. Absolutely.
Same. What do you hope that Safe Haven accomplishes in the years to come?
Well, we are working on a model to actually expand our services to several states by the end of the year. So we're in Tennessee now. We are looking at Maryland right now, Virginia, North Carolina, and Georgia, and Arizona. I'm sorry, and Arizona.
We are. Sorry to interrupt.
Go right ahead.
I was going to say, like, why these particular places?
Well, what we did was we did like we took inventory of the need.
Okay.
And the accessibility to the people that would need our care.
Okay.
And so these were the states that pretty much we felt would be more advantageous, not only for us as a business, but for the people that be recipients of that.
Okay.
But we definitely want to, continue to expand, but very carefully, because ultimately it's not about getting rich. It's all about positively impacting the lives of each person that we touch, and that's the reward there, is being able to touch people.
I love that. And so many people are going to be able to benefit from that and be able to say Safe Haven has helped me. And I think that's all a part of purpose,
Yeah.
being able to help others succeed and be better and have, like you said, the tools to know what to do, when we're having moments.
Mhm. It's true, and
Yeah.
even in the Middle Tennessee area, there's we are Safe Haven Health
Mhm.
in Brentwood. But there's another Safe Haven. I don't know exactly where. I think somewhere in Rutherford County or something.
Okay.
But I want to just distinguish the two because I don't know their model. But
Okay.
I can tell you for Safe Haven Health,
Okay.
we are all about positively impacting the lives of the people that we care for,
Yes.
in any capacity. That's where we want to be.
I love that. Let's pivot for a second. And I just want to ask you, how do you balance your mental health, your self-care, and your wellness practices?
Oh, I do a lot of different things. So I believe in I haven't always felt this way, but
Mm-hmm.
I've more recently become acquainted with the fact that self-care is very important.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've learned, well, I wouldn't say I've learned because I'm a work in progress, but I'm learning how to make me a priority.
Yeah.
And even in fact, I have some self-help and self-care type videos coming up on my YouTube channel soon.
Oh.
And honestly, I try not to put anything out that I'm not following.
Mhm.
And so in doing so, I have started to say no to things that should be said no.
So
If I
important.
should not agree to it, I've said no, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. So for the sake of my mental health,
Mm-hmm.
I've established boundaries. You know, I love you, but I'm going to need for you to respect boundaries.
Yeah.
And because my peace of mind is not up for gives or compromise.
Right.
There's nothing like a peace of mind.
Peace
Nothing.
is it's the prize. It's just it's really nothing like it,
I,
especially if there's been chaos in your
oh,
life.
absolutely. It's just
Anyway.
being able to, and then using coping skills.
Mhm.
I believe in and definitely removing yourself from a situation where you know that it's not going to be in your best interest to be in that moment at that time.
Yes.
Um, I exercise that quite frequently,
Mhm.
and it's not. And I also have exercise forgiveness.
Mhm.
Forgiveness is for the person that's granting the forgiveness.
Yep.
Because the person chances are the person that have done something to you, they don't even know or don't care, and they've moved on with their life.
Yeah.
And they're having the best life ever, and you are hoarding those things around.
Yes.
So I've learned to forgive those and move forward because I don't need the burden of carrying all this stuff.
Mhm.
I definitely won't forget, but I know how to forgive for the sake of my peace of mind. So
Exactly.
I give it all away. I forgive people. So forgiveness is another thing that I've done. And also I love to write.
Yeah.
Um, I write a lot of different things. I I write about things sometimes so I could actually pinpoint my own growth and development.
Mm.
Because you don't know how far you've grown until you really look at how you would act a fool at 19, and then at 30 you realize that that's not the hill to die on. Why did I even?
Why was I
Yeah, it's
like that?
okay, but you don't. If you have the same mindset in dealing with negative things 5 years ago, then you're not grown.
No.
So I journal to pinpoint a point in time and to then look at my development and growth.
Mhm.
And I think that it's important. So sometimes even when you have an odd with someone
Mhm.
and they may not even know it, And you know that they're the type of person that will not receive it, like your parents sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents just, you can say, well, you know what? I don't think you did a great job at this in my upbringing. Well, I did the best that I could, and that's what I did, and so on and so forth.
Yeah,
You
you're not
know,
getting a sorry from
no,
that.
it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So
It's not
sometimes you
good.
have to put pen to paper and just write that person a letter.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
And then once you write the letter, and I mean, I want you to be extremely transparent
Yeah.
about things that you have that person has done to you. And then when you're ready, finish the letter by saying, but I forgive you and we're going to move on.
Yeah.
Because now you've given yourself permission to acknowledge that they're never going to see what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But you forgive them for the things that you think they've done, and you move on with your life. And then you take that letter and you shred it up,
Yep.
because you know that this letter could cause war
Mm.
if you gave it to that person. So it's all about, and so I do things like that too. I just don't want to, it's like,
You
okay,
keep it inside that stuff.
yeah, you can't, but many people are walking around extremely unhappy and miserable because they fail to forgive that person for the things that they've done. And instead, they'd rather be angry,
Yeah.
and so they spend their entire lives wondering or being angry and remembering that I can't talk to this person, I can't talk to their kids, or they are policing their friends to make sure that they're not talking. It's just too much.
Right.
So that's why I tell people, let's practice the art of forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you learn how to forgive, it's not for the other person, it's for you.
Yeah.
It is for you. And I know how to forgive and move on. So I try to live as carefree as possible, and I encourage everybody to.
I agree. I'm definitely that person that's like, this needs to end, like you said, for my well-being. This is not good.
Mhm.
And I can just say, that's it. Like I'm moving on. This person, I'm not angry at this person. There's nothing there. And I'm a blocker. Like I don't like to be, I don't need none of the comeback or like any of that. It's like, this is not, it's affecting my peace.
Yeah.
But yeah. And it's like, I know that, like, we've been through this, like, this is not good for me. And I can let it go.
I totally agree. And that's why even when I'm working with couples, I have to get them to understand that, yes, you are one. And I would never tell you to go against what your spouse or partner, whatever they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But what I will tell you is that it's imperative that you have your own voice and that you're happy in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not happy, then maybe there are some other conversations we need to have.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to be happy in your own relationships. And
Yes.
that's one of the things that I tell. A peace of mind is great, but you can't have peace if you're not happy in whatever relationship, friendships, intimate relationships, I mean, working relationships, any relationship. You have to have a voice and you have to be happy. And if not, then you need to make some changes.
I agree. Well, I want to take a little moment here. I am a certified life coach specializing in happiness and fulfillment. That's another certificate that I've gained over the past year. But I wanted you to tell me what your idea of happiness is and just something that you're grateful for.
I would definitely say that my definition of happiness is being able to appreciate all that I have, including materialistic things,
Mm-hmm.
including food, the necessities, food, water, shelter, and some of the luxuries like my car.
Yeah.
I don't have an elaborate car, but it's mine. I have transportation. So yeah, happiness to
Ready
me
to go. Go ahead.
is being thankful for it all. The good, the bad, the ugly, for it all, because you can't learn if you don't have the bad things.
Yes.
You wouldn't appreciate being happy. So definitely Happiness to me is being totally appreciative of everything that life has given us.
Hey man, that's mine too.
Yeah.
People probably like amazed. Sometimes I'm thankful for a book, or I say a lot of times like that car. I don't drive it a lot. It's not super fancy, but it's there when I need it. Just the small things, food, meals, having the food, just having. Some people don't even have a cabinet to open
No.
to look at food. It's so crazy today. I woke up and I was like, I'm so grateful for the place that I live, having shelter. And I actually looked out of my window and I saw somebody like packing up a tent. And that's just, you know what I'm saying? Like it's those little things, like being grateful for your moments, because that could be you know what I mean? So it's just be thankful. Like that's what I tell people. Every step, every lesson, the whole journey, everything. Because like you said, if you don't know any kind of despair, you don't even know that when the happy time comes.
Oh no, you really don't. You really don't. You don't know how to process it, and you don't trust it. But
Right.
I think that happiness is out there for everyone, and everyone can afford happiness. It's
Yes.
just doing the work to get to that point.
Agree. Oh my God, I'm so grateful that you came on here to chat with me. I don't want to hold you all day. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I want to take a minute, just Maurice, tell everybody how to find you. I'm going to include this in the show notes, but just a little quick blurb to them where they can get to Safe Haven Health and little stuff like that, your socials.
Okay. So for Safe Haven Health, the website is www.safehavenhelp.com.
Yes.
Because we want to help you. We want to help you in one way or another. And then my YouTube channel is Dr. M.O., the Renaissance Man. Because that's me. I want you to definitely have that. And I'm also on others, but I think I provided the information.
You did. Where did you include like book links for me too? Or are they
well, my books can be reached by going to my author site, which is www.Dr. T Maurice, Maurice, reads with an S, reads.com.
Awesome.
Dr. T Maurice reads.com.
Good. And I'll put that down there too. Again, thank you so much for coming on. And thanks you guys for tuning in to the Real Talk with Michelle podcast. This is episode number 77, Real Talk with Dr. Maurice Abney of Safe Haven Health. Thanks guys for tuning in. Bye.